Peace, family, peace. We are now live. I told you I was coming right back. 5 minutes late. Not too bad, y'all. 5 minutes late. Let me know if y'all can see and hear me. I got a new guest tonight. Why the chat room ain't move? Okay. Yeah, I got a new guest tonight, family. I'm excited. I'm gonna be presenting y'all with new people on the platform this year. Of course, the information got to resonate with me, and they got to have integrity, and it got to seem like it comes from their heart. This is one brother who Yaki first told me about this brother, and then a lot of y'all uh was telling me about the brother, and that I gotta get with the brother, get him on the platform. So I'm glad, and I finally got an opportunity to check out his Instagram. I checked out the brother's video. He did a video with Rod Hayes, and that was fire. So without further ado, BDell, welcome to the platform, my brother.
I appreciate you having me on. And like I was reiterating to you earlier, this is like the Madison Square Garden of consciousness. So I'm glad to be here and to dish out my edification.
Indeed, that's a big compliment, y'all. He said my channel's like the Madison Square Garden, MSG of consciousness. So yeah, that's a big compliment. Listen, brother, you out there doing your thing. I gotta. Oh, before we start, brother, listen, fam. King Simon, man, I'm gonna start to add tomorrow, King Simon. I forgot about it. But tomorrow I definitely will start it. I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it by itself also. I'm gonna look out for you, King Simon. But my fault. I forgot to put it on before the show, my brother. But BDell, before we start, tell the people and tell me a little bit about yourself before we got an amazing topic. Everybody can't wait to hear about Grand Canyon, Crystal City, and the return of Plutonian energy. And this is something I heard you talk about, so I said I got to bring it to my channel. But tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started, my brother.
Well, on my YouTube channel, I talk about a lot about metaphysics, quantum physics. I talk about extraterrestrials, and I merge it in with theological context to where people can understand it at a biblical level, because I know the vast majority of our people, they're really stuck in monotheistic belief systems. So I talk about many different dynamics of esoteric knowledge on my channel.
Are you Nuwabian?
No.
Okay. Because I see you reference a lot of their material. The
Yeah.
Dr. So Dr. York was just an influence.
Yes,
like,
sir.
Like the brother Rod Hayes. Yeah. Okay, cool. So listen, brother. So you had a video that really interested me, and you was talking about the Grand Canyon, and I've heard so much about it. I mean, I've heard so much about that place being a very spiritual place, and there's so much history that's hidden about it from us. And in fact, it's hard to even go there and go to certain places within the Grand Canyon because it's blocked off. So could you reiterate what was you saying on your channel about the Grand Canyon, and what should we know moving into 2023 that you was talking about with the Grand Canyon, my brother?
Well, the Grand Canyon is also in alignment with the Milky Way galaxy. And the Grand Canyon also contains interstellar vortex portals, because it's basically an energy center, and meaning that it's the navel of the planet, right? So it also gives you the ability to take you to many different subterranean geographical landmasses, like the city of Shambhala, means synth of Allah, and then you have Argartha. When you break down the etymology, it means through the hole, and then you have the Rainbow City, which is a nomenclature title for the Crystal City. So the reason you have that type of vibration inside the Grand Canyon is because the Grand Canyon has a fourth dimensional tetrahedron frequency, and that frequency, like I said, it's an energy center. So, but the Grand Canyon, you know, that was the inception point of when you had the planet. It was in a state of revitalization due to the extraction of plutonium bombs that broke the planet in half. So then when you get a transliteration of the Sumerian tablets, it tells you verbatim that Enlil slain Tiamat. Tiamat is another name for planet Earth, right? So that's where you get this whole theological concept of when Satan separated the intergalactic waters from the third dimension to where you have an atmosphere now. So once the planet broke off, right, that's when the Nibiru, the mothership, they projected a light ball of energy, a 600-mile diameter sun inside the planet, which is basically the inception point of where the Grand Canyon started to take place. So that in itself created this phenomenon and this anomaly of the Aurora Borealis. That energy is coming from the frequencies in the solar radiation from inside the planet that is activated by cymatic frequency and Etherian gases.
Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot, brother. Wow. Okay. Wow. So tell me more about this crystal city, this rainbow city.
Well, the Crystal City, when you understand that, not just at a theological level, but at a biological level and at a neurological level, we are microcosm of the macrocosm through the law of
Yes.
correspondence. So,
Yeah.
as above, so below, as within, so without. So, the Crystal City, we are basically emulations of it,
Mm,
right? So, as the planet is speeding up in vibration, right? When the planet speeds up in vibration, that speeds up the carbon because the carbon body is a bioelectric entity. It's an electromagnetic generator and a light code transducer where it transmutes the carbon body into a crystalline state, which puts the 7 energy cortexes, the chakras, in the endocrine system in alignment that sends a piezoelectric frequency to the 144,000 crystals in the brain called the magnetites and the dendrites, which creates more neurons in the brain. And when you have more neurons in the brain created, that ties the frequency of the soul and the mind together to where you become a whole brain thinker. So this is how you tap into the energetic imprint of the universe. When
mm,
you activate your Akashic records, when you activate the junk DNA, when you're activating all the God particles within you, the
mm,
metaphysical genes that they took away from you since birth. Because when we go to these the places where we're born at, get your channel flag with certain words.
yeah.
But when we
Thank you.
go, they inject PCP inside the hippocampus layer of the brain, which causes a lunar light lock energy. And that lunar light lock energy creates nanogenetic mind control to where you don't reap the benefits of your metaphysical abilities that's conducive to your neurological capacity.
Mm,
So,
mm,
like I said, you also have a crystal city inside the planet, but we are emulations of the crystal city.
mm,
So when you understand the numerical spectrum of the year 2023, when you add up all the numbers, you get 7. 7 is the personification of evolution and ascension, but
mm,
our ascension process is predicated upon genetic mutation because we're supposed to be raising in frequency with the planet as the planet is going through a terraforming process. So we are the crystal city, but you also have a crystal city inside the planet as well. That's where the Galactic Federation has their all their meetings and stuff.
Have you ever done any astro traveling and been to these places?
No, I've never I ain't gonna lie to you, I've never did any type of astral traveling. I only had like I had an encounter
Mm,
about 6 years ago, but
mm,
not with an actual like being, but it was just when I was in the theta state when I was asleep
mm,
and I had like a metaphysical encounter.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, on Instagram and TikTok, we got all these videos going around connecting the Grand Canyon to ancient Egypt or Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that's actually carvings of pharaohs over there that they don't allow us to see. So talk to me about the connection between the Grand Canyon and Kemet.
Well, the Smithsonian's in I think it was 1909, they found many different Kemetic artifacts and Egyptian relics inside the Grand Canyon. So that basically predates the discovery of King Tut's tomb, right? Which they found that in 1922. So everything that they found inside the Grand Canyon, they took that information in those artifacts and they brought it over to Egypt. So they did that basically. It was like a bait and switch type of operation because they want to keep you from the fact that the geographical landmass of America is the true old world and it predates everything as far as the Giza Plateau because you have the Cheops pyramid and the Temple of Shiva, and you have the Temple of Isis inside the Grand Canyon. So, well, like I said, they did a bait and switch. They took all the artifacts, the Kemetic artifacts from Egypt, no, from the Grand Canyon, and they brought it over to Egypt. And when they found King Tut's tomb inside in 1922, they found it, but the seals was broken off already. So
Mm,
like I said, they try to hide the history by keeping you thinking you came from Africa when everything in this geographical landmass predates everything in the Giza Plateau. So you also got to understand that the Mayans that got the vast majority of their edification and their civilization uh, from the Olmecs. and the Olmecs taught the Mayans, and the Mayans taught the Egyptians. So that's how you know that the Olmecs, the ones who taught them how to build mounds and pyramids, they're basically the mothers of civilization. Everything started in Mesoamerica.
Now, you know, I've been hearing more and more people say that recently. Like a lot of people, you, the brother Rod Hayes, a lot of people have been saying that recently, and I know a lot of people are shocked to hear that because there was once a Kemet movement where everything was Kemet, but now a lot of people are talking about the brilliance and the spirituality that America possessed as well. You know what I'm saying? What other gods? I mean, any other gods have a presence in the Grand Canyon that you could tell me about? Like, I hear Tahuti mentioned a lot in the West. Is there anything else that ties Kemet and the gods from Kemet to the Grand Canyon?
I know. I know for a fact because this is America. This geographical area is the land of Tahuti. So I know they had a lot of Buddhist artifacts inside there as well. So, but I never really got a deep dive into the gods and everything.
Didn't Rashad Jamal say the Grand Canyon was the back door to Africa or something?
Yeah, it's definitely an interstellar vortex portal because you know a lot of the pyramids are actually portals to many different energy centers. I told you it's in alignment with the Milky Way galaxy, so everything on the planet has a symbiotic connection because the pyramids were basically frequency centers. So that's why you know he came up with that philosophy and that ideology.
Interstellar vortexes. Is there any? Where else would there be an interstellar vortex like similar to the Grand Canyon in America? Would you say?
Well, you have the great majority of all the caverns on the planet where I live is like 1 hour and 30 minutes away from Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. But the great majority of these cave systems, they turn it into historical landmarks because they know that there's energy portals there. So, like I said, you know, this is why they create this dynamic of gender wars on the planet when you're talking about Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, because they know that the unification of the divine feminine and the divine masculine working in synergy with nature, we have the ability to open up stargates and portals on this planet. So that's why they don't want us to see, you know, at a micro level, they don't want to see us together.
Right.
So those are basically the keys to the universe, the 3, 6, and the 9, when you understand the esoteric science of vortex math. Because 3, 6, and 9 are not physical numbers. They govern the physical world through quantum physics, which is also connected to my science technology.
So when you get, brother, good.
So that's why I was saying, like, it's all based upon the anatomy of, you know, the carbonated body in crystallization.
Indeed. Now, you know, people talk a lot about the union between the divine masculine and feminine, and you talked about how it could open up these portals. So just to get this straight, so let's say carbonated being divine masculine and feminine vibrating and vibrating that love frequency in a completely opposite side of the planet has an impact on the Grand Canyon and the portal there and portals all over. Like, it's non-local, it could impact any portal on this planet.
It has the ability to, because right now you have the planet going back into its original balance because it was subjugated by patriarchal patrilineal energy, which threw off the frequency of the planet. So everything conducive to nature is under a matriarchal system. Everything that was galvanized by mankind, which threw off the spiritual equilibrium of the planet, is galvanized by patriarchy. So when the planet is back in balance, this is how you're able to open up all these energy centers and these stargates and these portals, because you have a fourth dimensional energy that's hitting the stratosphere and hitting the planet, and it's raising up the vibrational frequency. So that's why you have the Schumann resonance, which sits at 7.83 megahertz frequency. When you have a pole shift and you have an open vortex, that sends a Schumann resonance spike at 13.13 megahertz frequency. And then when you understand Vedic numerology, 13 is also a karmic number. And the karmic number is connected to the divine feminine energy taking back the planet, because everything that was created by mankind decimated everything in nature, but the laws of nature supersedes the laws of mankind.
When would you say this patriarchal energy took over the planet? Like, was it the dynastic period in Egypt? Was it after that, before that? When would you say it started destroying the divine feminine energy on the planet?
when you had as soon as you got monotheistic belief system connected to our system, so all that energy was galvanized by the 6,000 year verification period of the lunar light lock energy, which puts us under a sleep spell. And that sleep spell is the religious system under the lunar cycle. So this is why when I was talking about the plutonium energy, so when you have Pluto enters Aquarius in March 23rd. So when Pluto enters Aquarius, you also have the Saturnian energy copulating with the Pisces energy, right? So that fourth dimensional energy that's coming in, that's going to be the energy that decimates everything in the three-dimensional world. So this is basically the unification of connecting to the space-time continuum as you leave the three-dimensional metric system, which represents Pisces and Saturn, as you ascend into the age of Aquarius, which is the golden age. So also, like I said, you get the merging of numbers in 3 and 4, going from a three-dimensional frequency to a fourth dimensional frequency. You also have the symbology of 7 because everything on the planet must evolve.
Was Pluto playing a role when the Grand Canyon first was, that
was the extraction of plutonium bombs. The plutonium bomb is what broke the planet in half. So because during that time, that's when we had Earth and the moon working in symbiotic connection. So now the moon that we have in our solar system is actually a draconian mothership that is operated by the Majestic 12, who is an amalgamation of the Pleiadians, Reptilians, and Greys that controls everything on frequency vibration on a binary code system on the dark side of the moon.
So you don't do any moon magic or stuff? You know how people do like rituals during the full moon, new moon?
There's nothing wrong with doing moon magic because, it teaches you how to manifest everything in the material world, but not on a spiritual level.
Okay. Wow.
The moon is what connects. The moon is also, a representation of the physical world, which is the square. And circle is a representation of the spiritual world, which also equates to 360 degrees because they both can work on 2 different dimensional planes, a square and a circle. So you can both you can use it, but it's just based upon the energy of it.
Indeed. What was our original moon? What could you tell us a little bit about our original moon?
The original moon was connected to planet Earth. So like I said, that's when I was saying that when Satan, who was Enlil, he separated the intergalactic waters from the 3rd dimension, that threw the planet out of balance. So when a planet was thrown out of balance, this is how you have the infiltration of Draconians and Reptilians and Pleiadians and Greys and things of that nature. But the moon used to work in symbiotic connection with our planet. The extraction of the plutonium bombs broke it off, and it happened about 23 billion years ago. And you can get that information about in the transliteration of the Sumerian tablets.
23 billion years ago, this was going down. Wow. And these were plutonian bombs, correct? This is what you're saying, the plutonian bomb.
There's an esoteric science because the Mickey Mouse cartoon. Yeah. Who is the personification of the dog? It's Pluto, and Pluto is the
in the cartoon. Okay.
Dog is an anagram for the word God. So, like I said, there's a lot of esoteric information in these cartoons and these movies. Because, like I told the people on my channel, the CIA has an office in Hollywood, and Hollywood has an office in the CIA. So, it's universal law that they got to give you the truth in these movies and these cartoons, but you have to have the mental and fortitude to decipher the information.
Wow, brother, you on it, man. You done said so much in these first 20 minutes, man. You on it, man. Once again, family, I'm live. New brother on the channel. The brother's name is BDell. BDell 1014 or just BDell? Just call you BDell?
BDell 1014. That's my title, my nomenclature title on my Instagram, my YouTube. And I go by Bridal Rice Bay on Facebook. Yeah.
So, all right, let's get back to this Plutonian energy that's coming in Aquarius in March of this year. What can we look forward to starting from March to the rest of the year with this Pluto energy coming back?
With the plutonium energy coming back, this is basically going to be the symbology of the end of the 3-dimensional paradigm as we know it. because the 2023 to 2030 is the inception period of the 7-year tribulation. So when you have that 7-year tribulation, we're going to see a lot more calamity. You're going to see a lot more desolation on the planet. And the reason that is because you have many different esoteric information as far as like the queen, she just died. She is a representation of the financial sector of the matrix system of the three-dimensional paradigm. Then you had the Pope who just died, which is the symbology of the fall of monotheistic religion, which galvanizes us under the strong man that connects us to the Euphrastruct system. So then you also have the corporate legal fiction of the de facto corporation, Washington, D.C. They are the ones who control the military. So Joe Biden is not really the president. He's really the agent of service for White House Incorporated. So that's why on March 4th, right before we have that open vortex, they're going to announce the 19th president of the republic, because like I said, a republic is galvanized by a matrilineal system, because inception, it started with matriarchy. So you're having a transmutation of power. So that's what Pluto, when you read the esoteric information about Pluto, it talks about a transmutation of power, because democracy is demonic rulership. And it connects you to the illusion of the three-dimensional matrix system. Because like I told you, we are leaving out of the lunar cycle, and everything in the lunar cycle was galvanized by a Saturnian energy, right? So that's why, I forgot his name. His name is Alkeban 44.
Alkeban 44. Yeah.
Like, they put the 1 in front of the 7 because 1 is the enemy of 7. Because when you have Pluto in Aquarius, that represents evolution. Number 7, you put the 1 in front of the 7, 1 plus 7 equals 8. 8 is the Saturnian energy. 8 is the metaverse symbol, which keeps you stuck in an artificial time loop, which connects back into the matrix system. So they know that the evolution of the planet is conducive to who we are, because as above, so below. So they want to stop, everybody from evolving. So this is why they're trying to introduce a new form of a shutdown. And they said that's going to happen by 2025. Bill Gates put out a publication about that not too long ago.
So, I always hear so much about Saturn. Some people are scared to hell of Saturn. Some people say Saturn is misunderstood. Talk to me about I always ask people about Saturn. I heard it used to be the central sun, but talk to me about the ancient role of Saturn in the carbon body. Like, what's the connection, the ancient role of Saturn in the carbon body?
Well, Saturn, I do know for a fact that Saturn is used, from a matrix system. Saturn is used from a point for reincarnation also.
Okay.
So it connects you back into the better simulation of reality. So there's a delineation between a non-ether being and a 6th ether being. So a lot of people who are conducive to the matrix system through nanogenetic mind control, this is why they put a lot of nanotechnology inside of the genetically modified foods, and when you go to the hospitals and stuff like that, they put all this nanotechnology inside of it because it's the lunar light lock energy, right? It's a Palladian light lock, and that connects you back into the matrix in a form of reincarnation. So when you die on this planet, your soul and your spirit is usurped into a gas planet, right? And they usurp that energy into a supercomputer and project it back down on the planet. So now you have computer generated souls and spirits on this planet who are basically Agent Smiths of the matrix system. So this is why I say a lot of people on the planet are not chosen, so to speak, because everybody is operating from a psychological egregore, meaning that they're basically emulations of them, emulations of each other. Because just at a mental frequency, because you got some people who have a veneration for politics, you got some people who have a veneration for religion, you got some people who have a veneration for everything in the material world. Yeah, they have a veneration for money. So like I said, all of that is conducive to the Saturn moon matrix system. So now, as far as being the carbonated energy, now who we are as carbonated people, that is Saturn is also the symbology of the word of the numerical spectrum of 666, but people demonize 666 when you talking about the Bible, but it's really talking about the carbonated man and woman, 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, because our awakening is the antichrist of their matrix system. That awakening starts when you have that open vortex in March, or some say it's March, some say it's August.
What's this? When you was talking about reincarnation, you mentioned the supercomputer. What's the supercomputer that recycles the body back into this matrix?
I know that it's a supercomputer on the dark side of the moon, and it's basically operated on binary code systems. And the binary code system creates this dualistic principles to where you stuck on polarity, because duality is not reality. Just like for example, you got rich, you got poor, you got positive, you got negative, but all those are basically illusions. Basically, the best way to beat the matrix system is to operate from 0 point energy to where you cannot be compromised by anything that's based on polarity. That's why I say everything in the matrix system is conducive to the material world, and the material world is what controls your emotions. And where your emotions is controlled by the material world, that puts you in a state of evolution. I mean, not evolution, but puts you in a state to be acclimated to the illusions of the three-dimensional matrix system.
What would you describe as operating in a 0 point energy that you just mentioned? They're not dealing with polarity.
Operating in 0 point energy is to be content. You can be content while being in the state of evolution. Like I can buy a new car, you know, and be okay with it for, you know, I don't need another car next year. So like I said, people get a brand new car and they see another car and they want a new car. What you buy, you know what I'm saying, it's going to eventually get old. That's an illusion. It's all about being content with what you got while being in a state of evolution, because like I said, that's what the matrix does. It puts you in a state to where you operating on a dualistic principle, and the dualistic principle of the matrix system is the illusion.
You know, we see a lot of these monuments have a direct correlation with the Sirius star constellation. A lot of the pyramids, from whether it's the Western Hemisphere or the Eastern Hemisphere, Africa, or you know, places in the Americas. What star? What is the Grand Canyon connected to? Is it connected to a certain constellation? What was this ancient connection?
I know it's in alignment with the Milky Way galaxy, which
you said that, you said that.
In alignment with the Milky Way galaxy, because I think that's the Milky Way is the Earth zone. So, and it's also a portal to, like I said, created this dynamic and this phenomenon of the Aurora Borealis. We also connected to that because the cymatic frequency and the octave energy of the solar flares from the inner sun is what created that phenomenon in itself of the Aurora Borealis. But the Grand Canyon is definitely in alignment with the Milky Way galaxy.
So where's this inner sun? You said the solar flare is not from the sun out there, but you said from the inner sun.
No, it was projected from Nibiru.
Nibiru, okay.
Yeah, it's a sun called Asfu, which means solar to Earth. And that 600-mile diameter sun, it just sits in the middle. It's intrinsic solar radiation. So that's why you ever seen the movie, the Avatar movie?
Yeah.
So the new one, that's why, you know, you had a certain demographic of people, they had to wear a face mask to withstand the hydrogen based atmosphere. So that's what's happening on our planet right now as we going from a 3-dimensional state to a 4th-dimensional state. So that's why you see a great majority of these athletes collapsing and things of that nature. You see what I'm saying?
A lot of people, newscasters, a lot of people just collapsing out of nowhere.
Yeah, because that's the vibrational frequency, because the Shoma resonance, which 7.83 megahertz frequency, is the heartbeat of the planet. Right. So when your heart is not working in symbiotic connection with the planet, it can cause it can decimate you at a biological level and at a neurological level as well.
So you're saying we're gonna start seeing more of that?
This is just a synopsis of everything that's going on. The more it gets hot on this planet, you're gonna see a lot more of, you know, people collapsing, a lot of people having a lot more heart attacks and things of that nature.
So what do you think about, you know, so much cosmic talk and you know, planetary talk and moon talk? What's your thoughts on this whole flat Earth versus round Earth argument that everybody seems to have on the internet?
Well, I never really got into the flat Earth dynamic, but I know that as far as like hollow Earth, I know that the inception of the planet, you have many different caverns and cave systems that leads you to hollow Earth. And the reason I say that is because that's where you get the whole theological story of Yakub, and that's where that's where his bloodline, who is the Shiuk and the Danakil tribe, they came from inside the planet. So that flat Earth basically decimates a whole story of how everybody was created on this planet, or a certain demographic of people or a certain bloodline. When you're talking about the Canaanites and the Flugarites, and when you're talking about the East Indians and how everything started with genetic splicing in 4086 BC on the island of Patmos or Pelon. So that whole story would be decimated if you just go with the flat Earth theory, because like I said, the inception of how you had many different demographics of people on this planet, a great majority of those beings that came from inside the planet, because intelligent life doesn't live on the surface, it lives inside. So you had another extraterrestrial race, the Conehead beings, called the Sini tribe. You got the Sinis, that's where they got that in the movies, the
movie. Yeah,
that's where they got that from.
Where was this race from? The Semi or
the Sini tribe? They live inside the planet. That's his mom, Yakub's mother. She was from the Sini tribe, and Yakub's father was from the Danakil tribe, who is the Shiuk. Yeah,
so that's why they call him the big head scientist.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. So do you think these inner Earth beings are going to come up to the surface more and more? What you said from 2023 to 2030, you said you gave it a name, from 2023 to 2030. Are we going to start seeing more of these conehead beings or whoever it is that live in the inner Earth?
It's a possibility. I mean, I don't like to get into the whole mysticism or whatever, but I mean, there's a reason why we're seeing a lot more UFO phenomenon in our atmosphere. Yeah. Like everybody, you go on the internet, it's a great majority of people showing, UFOs, and there was a lady that I had on my I showed a video, and she seen the mothership in the atmosphere, and that's the reason why the vibrational frequency of the planet is going back into its original balance, because like I said, the mothership has the ability to send cymatic energy and frequencies to raise up the vibrational frequency of the planet to where you have certain people on the planet to bring about this edification. So this is why this is your personification of the Great Awakening. This is why you have 1/3 of people in America not going to church anymore. They just put that out in the news not too long ago.
Wow. So with these, you talk about seeing the mothership. Like the other day, I played a clip. This sister was on my show, Isis Wisdom, and an orb went over her head, and I played it, and a lot of people couldn't see it, and I played it like 5 times, and some people seen it, some people didn't see it. Why do you think certain people could see orbs or see things, and certain people can't see them?
That's because when you stuck in a artificial construct, that creates a mental curse under a sleep spell, because you still have people, even though they're trying to ascend out of a 3-dimensional state, they still might be acclimated to a 3-dimensional state. So this is why you only have people can see 10% of the electromagnetic spectrum. So you can't see energy, frequencies, and vibration, because everything is been subjugated by a 3-dimensional matrix system, to where you can only see things with your 2 physical eyes, polarity, and not your spiritual eye.
No, indeed. What can you tell me about our sun right now? Like, how old is our sun now? Because you was talking about this moon that we got now is not the moon that we had before. What about our sun? How old would you say our sun is this our original sun that we had on the planet?
Well, I know that thought, which is the personification of ether, thought is what created this dynamical process of having a sun in our atmosphere, because light travels at 186,000 miles per square feet. So when you have these thoughts, when light breaks into a dimension, it can reverse the polarity of time and things of that nature. So intrinsic thoughts is what created the manifestation of the sun. So
Yeah.
I really don't know how old the sun is. I'm not gonna lie, but
But you said our thoughts created the sun.
everything thoughts become things. The ethers is what the ethers through atomic fusion is what created the sun.
That's very interesting. Now, what about I seen somebody in the chat talked about, and this is something people are reporting more and more, ringing in the ears. What can you tell us about ringing in the ears? Is that some form of communication at this point?
Yeah, it means that you're supposed to be in alignment for reception. So
Mm,
when I hear ringing in the ears, that is, I call it a trumpet.
mm,
Those are cymatic frequencies, and that's supposed to you're supposed to be in alignment and put yourself in a meditative state so where you could be receptive to that energy and that vibration. So where you never know, you could be that's like a wink from the universe. Like when you
mm,
see synchronicities and numbers, and when you see
mhm,
hear the ringing in the ears and things of that nature, those are basically winks from the universe to where you can tap into that energy and get a download.
mm.
Something from the universe and the ethers that's trying to, make you communicate with something.
Indeed, indeed. What are some ways, since we're talking about ringing in the ears, what are some ways you think people could tap in to extrasensory perceptions and tap into these downloads, or just ancestors or these beings that may be talking to them? How can we tune into that more at this point, would you say?
I say the more you cleanse,
Cleanse,
because
okay.
you're cleansing and detoxing,
Uh,
and and get a lot of massages because you that way it can stop you having from energy blockages. That's why
yeah.
a lot of people cannot reap the benefits of tapping into their higher mental abilities.
Uh,
Because like I said, everything on this planet, from genetically modified foods, from the recreational drugs and liquor, everything is basically subjugated the anatomy of who we are on this planet. So the best way to tap into that energy is to do a lot of fasting and a lot of cleansing.
and you say massage and that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, get away for get all them energy blockages out. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yaki talks about that with the lymphatic system.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you definitely
we
got
gotta,
to flush out your lymphatic system because,
yeah.
like I said, fasting, when you break down the prefix of the word Ramadan, Rama means to burn out. So anything that you can't fast from, you're a slave to it.
Mm,
That's why, in order to reap the benefits of getting those receptions from these pantheon of gods, or to where you can get a download from the ethers, the
mhm,
best way to do that is, to cleanse and raise up your vibrational frequency.
mhm. Since we're talking about raising our vibrational frequency, you're familiar with grounding, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about grounding and planting your feet, but I know sometimes I will hear stories of people who want to heal themselves. They will bury their whole body in dirt.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, yeah. You ever heard of that? And if you have,
No,
could you?
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, yeah. Some people they bury themselves, their whole body in dirt. So
Huh.
I could imagine what that do. You know what I'm
It can
saying?
probably sends a electrical charge to the body. That's what it
Uh,
does. Because I told you we're bioelectric. We're the carbonated body is a bioelectric entity. So
mhm.
that's how you can receive more electrons to the body, to where the body can basically transmute itself. Because I told you it's a light code transducer. So you absorb everything around you.
Indeed. Now, as far looking at us as antennas. Hold on, let me see if I can pull something up real quick. Um, I wanted to show a certain shape, but I can't see it. Being that we're antennas, we know we move, and technology is an emulation of us, and we move antennas certain ways. Is there a certain posture, whether it's a yogic yoga or whatever, that is the most effective in terms of tuning in to that quantum field?
As you saying, is there a certain posture to where you?
Yeah, yeah, a certain like way you could fix your body, like yoga wise or meditation wise. They got mudras. I forgot what they call and stuff like that. Have you ever got into that science?
No, I never got into yoga and the mudras and things of that nature. I've never tapped into that energy at all. But I
Yeah,
know, but I know for a fact that it has the ability to open up portals and vortexes within you. It puts you in alignment with 7 energy cortexes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it activates the endocrine system.
What do you think about, I don't want to say the certain word because we know channels got shut down during the last 2 years, but they was telling us to stay away from people. Do you think there's something spiritual about them not wanting us within 5? I'm not gonna even say the number, but within 3 feet of people. Is there something spiritual that's going on that's being transferred that we may not be aware of, where they did not want us next to somebody?
Yeah, because they, like I said, they know that as far as like the keys to the universe, especially when you have so-called black people, when you're around each other, that is a high energy, that's a high frequency and vibration. So when you have us working in symbiotic connection with nature, as the planet is going through a metamorphic shift, we have the ability to open up stargates and portals. That's why, like I said, when they say something is restricted from the public, that's really a translation of saying it's restricted from black people, but they cannot say that. They know if we went there, and you bought all those Kemetic drums, African drum beats, you'll be able to open up portals.
That's deep. And you said when they say people are restricted, they really mean black people. Wow, that's deep. That is deep. So as far as the 9 ether beings, everybody, one thing Rod Hayes says is all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And we talked about certain non-playable characters that exist down here that are like basically operating from egregors. Talk to me about people who look like non-ether beings, but are not non-ether beings. Can you talk about that? Like maybe they are truly our enemy and they come from somewhere else, but they look like us. Could you go into that?
Well, you have a diametrical difference between the seeds of Enki and the seeds of Enlil. Now, the seeds of Enlil, they are subjugated by everything in the material world, as far as like politics, religion. These are the people who are connected to the Freemasonic order, which is a Jewish proxy. But these afflictions of that seed, they are the ones who construct everything. They're the ones who keeping this, this matrix system going.
Well, like the boule?
Yeah, boule, people in the music industry, gatekeepers and things of that nature. So those are the people I said as far as like the seeds of Enlil. So all skin folk and kinfolk. So those are the same people from the inception of when they stole our birthright. When you had the Algonquins, when they kicked the dirty Moors out of Spain and they came over here and things of that nature and stole our birthright. So that's all those key players, they came from the seeds of Enlil. So that's a delineation. So that's why I tell people all the time, all so-called black people ain't my people. Especially the ones in politics, especially the ones who is not trying to raise up the vibrational frequency with the truth. These are the ones who's trying to, tell people to, get the what, so they can go to work, so they can go to church, so they can, be in politics and things of that nature.
So I think Noble Drew Ali birthday just passed, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. But how important was his teaching? Because you talked about the dirty Moors. How important do you vibe with his teaching? How important was his teaching do you think to our people?
His teaching was the edification that he brought about. I mean, like I said, it teaches his teaching teaches you about the socio-political aspect of civics, and it goes into a little bit of theology, but it was basically to bring you out of that concept in itself, because he knew that you had the Jesuit dirty Moors. That's why he was, tapping into many different denominations of the Moorish paradigm. So like I said, he was just trying to find out. He was like the spook who sat by the door. He's the one that was galvanizing all the information to bring us out of the situation of dogmatic belief systems and things of that nature.
No, indeed. Yeah. Wow. Once again, family, shout out to everybody tuned in. We got almost 3,000 people in the building. If you came in late, a new brother is on the channel, BDell, awesome young brother. Tell the people your YouTube channel before we continue, brother.
My YouTube channel is BDell 1014. It's the same title as my name on the screen. That's my Instagram name. And then I'm Brydell Rice Bay on Facebook.
You got a Cash App, BDell, for people who may want to support you financially?
Well, let me say this for first thing.
Yeah.
I don't put out the edification for money, so I would never, try to monetize off my people. But I do have a Cash App. It's $ Brydell Rice,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
BRYDELLRICE.
Let's see.
And the reason I say that is because we've been indoctrinated. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars to be indoctrinated by the education system. So it's
Yeah.
only right to give people the edification for free.
I got you. I definitely, somebody asked your Cash App earlier, so I definitely want them to support what you're doing. So definitely, if you would like to support the brother, hit the brother's Cash App, $BRYDELLRICE. And if you got some questions, I'm asking brother a few more questions, but get the questions ready, family. We about to hit the hour mark in a little while. We're gonna get to some more questions, family. So definitely give us some questions. What can you tell me about this? You talked about the moon and the dark side of the moon. What's your thoughts on this Lilith energy?
Which is as far as like the Lilith energy, as far as like the divine feminine energy.
Yeah, yeah.
What I was saying is when you have a pole shift is basically magnetic north merging with true north. So when that happens, you have the vibrational frequency of the Schumann resonance spike. It operates at 13.13 megahertz frequency. So 13 is also esoterically connected to the divine feminine energy, and it's a karmic number. So that Lilith energy is a fourth dimensional energy when you have that open vortex in March 23rd, or it's going to happen in August. So, like I said, this is a transmutation process of nature taking back the planet. So this is why you're going to see a lot more floods. This is why everything in California is starting to flood up. So because through the laws of physics, anything that dissipates in nature must come back.
How does this divine feminine energy that you brought up several times affect males, my brother?
Well, it gets rid of this. Well, because of patriarchy. Patriarchy is what thrown everything out of balance. Because the inception of everything started with a matrilineal system. So when they came up with these monotheistic belief systems, when they came up with anything that's conducive to subjugating a woman, that threw the whole planet out of balance, which creates a reversal in the gender role frequency. When you have a reversal in the gender role frequency, now the woman has to take up on the energy of the man, and the man, wants to become the woman because everything they do, as far as like a patriarchal energy, just like the Statue of Liberty, that's a that's a really a man. A lot of people don't know that, but they
Statue of
really,
Liberty? The Statue of Liberty, yeah. Could you explain that? You elaborate on that?
well, the Mona Lisa and the Statue of Liberty, they're basically one and the same. But like I said, it's the everything they do, they steal the birthright from the woman, because the woman, like I said, the inception of everything that started was based on a matriarchy. So like
What? Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was about to ask, because you talked about the Statue of Liberty being a man. Even going back to ancient Kemet, when you see some of the pictures of Akhenaten, and he got like wide hips like a woman, why do you think Akhenaten he was portrayed as like a man with woman, with like a figure of a woman?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Yeah, have you noticed that? Have you seen any
I've
of the
seen
pictures?
that before, but it's never sparked anything to my to me raise a question within myself to to do a deep dive on that information.
No, definitely. Man, once again, family. Somebody asked, what did somebody just ask? I just seen a good question. Well, let me ask this one. Somebody wants to know, what is the god? Where is this at? What is the god Osiris's role in history related to humans?
Well, the god Osiris's role. Well, I know as far as humans, I know the great majority of Black people, when we're born, we have a Mongolian spike, and I know that Osiris was green. So that's our connection as far as like so-called Black people, because the difference between Black people and chlorophyll is one magnesium particle. So we also have that connection because when we fell in frequency, this created this process of how we when we breathe in this oxidation that breaks down the hemoglobin cellular structure, and that hemoglobin cellular structure puts you in a low vibrational frequency to the point where you start to age, and to the point where your genes break down and rust. So that's why I was saying, like, our connection on a biological level, that is one of our connections to Osiris.
Indeed. Somebody wants to know, what about the increase of UV rays from the sun and its CME activity?
Well, when you have these coronal mass ejections, these solar flares, like I told you, it's scientifically proven that 7 also activates the neural synapses. So, like I said, the intrinsic solar radiation is gamma radiation, and gamma radiation, when it amalgamates with the carbon body, it creates this energy and frequency of Holy Ghost particles, which are nitroids. So this is where you get your personification of a Christ consciousness.
You said Holy Ghost particles. Say that. Yeah. What was the Holy Ghost? That sounded interesting. What's the Holy Ghost particles?
Nitroids, pure nitrogen, nitroids, solar radiation, or amalgamating with the carbon body.
What do you think about the word DEA? I heard Yaki and Rashad Jamal reference DEA instead of DNA.
To carbon, DEA. So that's basically the delineation from DNA. Now, anything that has like 6 ether and 7 ether genes, which is recessive genetics, that's the demographic with DNA. When you have carbon coating skin and you have the ether to connect to the energetic imprint of the universe, that's what gives you the foundation of having DEA, which is deoxyetheric acid.
How important do you think meditation is, brother? Do you do a lot of meditation?
I meditate, but meditation is very important because, I mean, a lot of people send their affirmations out into the atmosphere when they pray. So it's very imperative to put yourself in alignment for reception when you're in meditation. So that way you can receive those blessings.
Let me ask you this. How much of the information, like a lot of the stuff you said today and the stuff you say on your channel, how much is it you research it through books, and how much of it would you say is like channel information? Like you didn't get in the book, but you just got some information and it makes sense to you. So you present it to the family.
Well, a lot of times, when I come across certain information in a book, it actually, it activates a download for me. You know what I'm saying? So that download to where I stream down a 4th dimensional intelligence. This is why I was saying not too long ago on my channel, that energy creates a tetrahedron frequency to where you stream down information from the mental plane and you upload it into the neurological interface. And this is how you get the activation of reaping the benefits of tapping into the Akashic records. So when I come across certain information, it just it activates a certain memory in the neural synapses. And it basically, to the point where I can get my own interpretation, not just based on something that I read verbatim.
Okay. It's funny when I get certain, if I get like a wild idea or something, a download, and I don't say nothing sometimes it'll lead me to a book just to validate it and let me know, like, yo, when you get this shit, it's real. Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? I'll see it in the book and I'll be like, wait a minute, I'm not crazy. Other people are saying this too. So
because everything is innately connected to our genetical sequence. But like I said, this is why they created nanogenetic mind control in the genetically modified foods, because the food that we eat now disconnects you from nature, because they know that the real food that we eat, it activates certain codons in our molecular structure to where we can activate the epigenetics and DNA activation to where we can remember the things that was once lost on this planet.
Yo, it's so difficult to eat healthy now. Like you can't trust the vegetables, you can't trust the fruit. It's hard to trust anything you get now, man.
Like I was telling somebody not too long ago, it's going to be a point in time on this planet where you ain't going to be able to eat nothing, to where you're going to have to perform ultra fast internal conversion, and that is nothing but pure solar radiation. So you will basically have to be a breatharian. A lot of people ain't ready for that type of energy though, because like I said, we all have some type of emotional attachment to foods through the chemicals.
Yeah, no, definitely. Somebody wants to know your thoughts on there being land.
Hold on for a second. Alexa, stop. Sorry.
It's all good. You ready?
Yeah, it was my
Yeah.
alarm system.
Okay. Somebody want to know your thoughts on there being land beyond Antarctica.
Yeah, I told you as far as the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. So there's many different geographical areas outside the ice wall. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I did a video on that on my YouTube channel where I do a deep dive. But there's definitely land beyond the ice wall.
Indeed.
And it's controlled by the archons, or what you call custodians or draconians. It's another name.
Somebody want to know the significance of our blood types.
I really don't get into the blood types. That's sometimes a touchy subject, so I just kind of stay away from it.
What about the ancient giants? Somebody else want to know about the ancient giants.
Yeah, well, some call them the Anunnaki or the Neteru or the Nephilim, but you definitely have those pantheon of gods. There was a lady on my channel, she was talking about she had a dream about these Anunnaki giants.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in time, she was saying that there's going to be an invasion and they're going to return to the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So, all throughout ancient history, because like I told you, when you have a hydrogen-based atmosphere, everything grows intrinsically. So when you have this form of oxidation in our atmosphere, everything is basically condensed down. It
Mm-hmm.
lowers the frequency. So, like for example, like a starfish, when you cut a starfish in half, it grows right back. It
Mm-hmm.
puts it in a state of regeneration because it has immortalized cell lines.
Mm-hmm.
So hydrogen, when it's copulating with carbon, it gives us that same dynamical process.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be able to regenerate. We'll be able to, they have immortalized cell lines. You have like the story of Simeon Toko.
Mm-hmm. Right.
How they said they chopped his body up in like many different pieces and put him all over the planet, but he was still able to regenerate. That's because, like I said, he had that hydrogen-based molecular structure.
Indeed. Definitely. Let's get another question. This is a good show, y'all. This is a powerful show. I'm glad you came on here, BDell.
Thank you. I appreciate you, sir.
I,
Appreciate
I look forward to having you on here more and more. You know what I'm saying, my brother? Let's get this next question is how can we prepare for the return of the Crystal City?
the best way to prepare for the Crystal City is to put yourself in alignment, because I told you we are emulations of the Crystal City. So like I said, when you have the carbon body crystallizes, it sends a piezoelectric frequency to where you're in alignment and activates the 144,000 crystals in your brain called the magnetites and the dendrites. So this is how you tap into the spirit of Melchizedek to where you can use 90% of your cerebral capacity. So even at a theological level, you also have a crystal city inside the planet. But like I said, we also are emulations of the crystal city. So when you break down the belief systems in the Bible, it's really talking about the temple and the body.
Mm.
So that's what it's really talking about, based on a heliocentric philosophy. That's really talking about the anatomy of who we are on this planet. So the best way to prepare for it is to put yourself in alignment.
Could you talk a little more about the spirit of Melchizedek? What's
Yeah,
that?
but the spirit of Melchizedek is basically I call it. Some people call it a spirit of Melchizedek, and some people call it a Christ consciousness. So
Okay.
this is how you activate, certain things in your genetical sequence in your memory glands. And
Right.
like I said, it's activated by the 7 energy cortexes, the chakras that push the endocrine system in alignment, which also activates the 7 neurological circuits. So, like I said, to prepare for it, you got to be evolving with the planet to where you can tap into that energy, to where you have a Christ consciousness. So this is why they call the 2023 to 2030 the Great Awakening period, because
Mm,
everybody at some point in time is going to have an awakening period on this planet. They're going to
mm,
be walking away from their jobs. They're going to be walking away from politics. You're going to have people walking away from religion.
mhm. Okay. Next question. Is the coronal mass ejections the rapture in the Bible?
No, the coronal mass ejections is basically an amalgamation of solar flares. And those solar flares are the ancient souls of the ancestors who died. So when you have the ancient souls of Atlantis, the ancient souls of uh, the Native Americans, the ancient souls of the Africans, when they died, their souls was projected inside the sun. and they come back on the planet in the form of a solar flare. So you get the DNA activation. So the ancestors is basically working through us through CMEs and solar radiation.
Indeed. BDell, do you think future breatharians will transform us into future off-world beings or alien individuals may come in contact with?
Let me read that question. Do you think? I think it would transmute us into Ethereans, which is pure, which is pure energy, to where you don't even need a body, because you already genetically socialize yourself to not even need anything as far as anything in the material world and the physical world as far as food. So if you can do without food, you can reap the benefits of being able to metamorphosize into an etheric state, to where you don't need a body, to where you don't have to be subjugated by the material world and the physical world.
How do you feel about veganism, brother? Are you a vegan?
No, I'm not vegan. I eat fish. I'm more of a pescatarian.
So as far as like the eating of animals, do you think that's something we did in ancient times, or do you think we always were vegans in our prime state?
No, we used to. There's certain things on hieroglyphics and stuff. They got they ate certain animals for ceremonial purposes.
Yeah.
So like, I think it was like a bison. They used to eat the bison for ceremonial purposes, and many different other animals or whatever. But like I said, due to biochemical warfare, it's kind of hard for people to to deviate from. Some people eat pork, and you got people who eat many different things. It's hard to get away from that energy, because like I said, everything is based on the chemicalization that was propagated by the Food and Drug Administration. So you're not addicted to the food, you're actually addicted to the chemicals.
To the chemicals, right? Yep. Indeed. Let's get to another question. This is a good show, y'all. They want to know, can he elaborate more on the Temple of Isis in the Grand Canyon?
Well, when I was doing my research on it, I didn't find many different artifacts and relics talking about the Temple of Isis, but they was just more subjected on how they find many different hieroglyphics in the Meta Nature language inside there, because this is where you had the Hopi tribe, and I think it was the Knickknack tribe. They had reservations inside the Grand Canyon, and they was able to read the Meta Nature intuitively. So this is where it's also a connection to the Sumerian gods of the Anunnaki, because when you break down the etymology of the word ant people, ant means Anu, and Naki means friends, ant friends, which is the Anunnaki. So they was in a connection with a pantheon of gods that came down to the planet. So when they had a pole shift during their time period, this is where the pantheon of gods, they made them go inside the planet to escape the calamity. That's why there's a lot of I think there's like erosion from water inside the Grand Canyon, because I know it was a flooding there, and they got over 1,000 different cave systems to where you can go inside those subterranean kingdoms.
Wow.
But I don't really know too much about the Isis temple. I was looking for all types of information about that when I did a video a while back, and I couldn't find anything.
Somebody wants to know, can 6 ether beings become breatharians?
No, because when you just like I was showing you in the Avatar movie, when you have a hydrogen-based planet, that's only conducive, because hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. Second is carbon, and when it's amalgamated with carbon, it sparks the soul of man, Solomon's temple, which is basically a dualistic trine of two triangles, where you have a pyramid, which is fire in the middle. So this gives an activation to the soul. So in order to become a breatharian, you have to have a soul, not just a spirit. You can't just be a spirit body in order to reap the benefits of that energy.
So, and Lil's peoples, do they have souls? These people that say look like us but are not us, do they have souls, or are they soulless people but happen to be melanated?
The best way I can explain it, it's kind of like when you have the infiltration of the Avatar people, the Avatar people are basically emulations of the Navi tribe in the new Avatar movie. There wasn't of the original, and it was just based on their genetical sequence because they had straight hair and things of that nature. But they was able to withstand the atmospheric realm of that planet. That's why they had the six ether beings. They had to take up on the anatomy of those galactic beings in that movie. But in order, they're not able to tap into that energy because they don't have the genetics to do so. So that's why, as far as in reality, that's why you had that heat wave in Europe and like 5,000 people died. So like I said, you're going to see a lot more than that. It's going to be a lot more.
Okay. Somebody wants to. Yeah, go ahead.
I forgot to elaborate on the inlet, but just based upon the molecular structure, they may have a spirit and a soul, but they're still connected to a disagreeable bloodline. That's the difference.
Is somebody wants to know, is Arizona the true old Atlan?
I wouldn't say that, but I know that the whole geographical landmass of America is actually the true old world. Just like I said, because based upon, you have the Cheops temple, the Isis temple, and the temple of Shiva, all those celestial, all those megastructures in the Grand Canyon, they predate everything in the Giza Plateau. And then, anything about step pyramids predates everything over in Africa as well.
Yeah, I got to get one of them chairs you sent in, man. I'm like,
oh yeah, I appreciate that, man.
It looked like you're macabre, brother. It looked like that's like a spaceship, man.
Yeah, there is. I just got it. I try to, make it like the mothership in here, because your sacred energetic space is an emulation of what's going on with you mentally and spiritually. So I like to keep things in logistical order. So
that is facts.
My vibration. Yeah.
That is facts. That is facts. Let's get to we're gonna take about 3 more questions. What time is 10:42, and then we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna take about 3 more questions, and we're gonna get out of here. But this has been an amazing debut from the brother BDell on the channel. I want y'all all to visit his YouTube channel. Say, what's your YouTube again, brother? For those who came in late.
BDell 1014. B as in boy, D as in dog, ELL 1014. BDell 1014.
Indeed. Let's see what question we are going to take. If we are the chosen ones to revitalize the bloodline of the family we are born into, would it mean the bloodline is ancient and amongst the oldest? I don't quite understand the question. I don't understand. You're gonna have to
But I can reiterate something on that question a little bit, but I know that we have some of us are chosen and we incarnated back on this planet to dematerialize the generational curses that basically subjugated our bloodline. So a lot of us, the ones that was incarnated, a lot of us are old souls on this planet. So we are old souls encapsulated inside younger bodies, while some of the people who are acclimated to the generational curses are new souls encapsulated inside old bodies. So this is why, a chosen one might be a lot more intuitive and knowledgeable and more mature than their parents and their grandparents.
It's a great way to put it, brother. Great way to put it. Young souls in old bodies, and sometimes you got old souls in young bodies. Great way to put it, my brother. Yeah, this is fire. Yeah, Indigo, this is fire. Yeah, this is brothers definitely dropping it. This is fire. They want to know, how do you identify Enlil people? How do you identify
anybody in the political system?
Woo!
Because the reason I say that is because there's only so much you can only go so far in the political system, because the political system, that is another way to connect you back into the corporate legal fiction of the de facto corporation. And then you got some people who are stuck in dogmatic belief systems. Those are the same people who try to pull you back into that energy because the church and the state are not separate.
Mm. You know, we talked about the Moors. Do you know anything about the connection earlier? Do you know anything about, and we talked about planets earlier. Do you know any connection between the Moors and Mars? I've heard brothers say in the past that the word Moors came from the word Mars.
Yeah, because Mars is another nomenclature title for Lamu, which is the land of Mu, because Mu, through prefix and suffix, is another word for Moor. So Lamu, which also means deity of war. So we also had they had Moorish temples and mega structures on planet Mars at one point in time, and it talks about that on the Holy Tablets by Dr. York.
That we had structures on Mars.
Yeah, we got structures on Mars. Yep.
What do you think about the people who say you can't travel into outer space? The only way to go is through inner space.
That's a fact. Yep. Through the law of correspondence. Like I said, you have a certain demographic that can't even leave this planet. They are stuck on this planet because they was created on this planet. Anything that was genetically spliced, meaning that they are basically earthbound, right? So that's why they need a certain divinity at a genetical level from their eugenic systems, because they need a drop of black blood, or they need the stem cells of a certain demographic of people to withstand the pole shift and the solar radiation and the activation on the planet. So that's why they basically do the things they do at a genetical level. So you have, in order to infiltrate the system, you have to have a soul, meaning that you have to be vibrating at your heart chakra, because the heart is the seat of the soul. So if you don't have a soul, you know what I'm saying, you cannot leave this realm. You are earthbound.
So back to this, us not traveling out of space. So are you saying there was no such thing as ancient spaceships or spaceships?
No,
Yeah.
you have a certain, like I said, we have a certain demographic that can infiltrate the firmament. But like I said, the people who run this planet, when you talk about the oligarchs and the plutocracy and the black nobility, they're stuck here. I got a video of a spaceship trying to go out of space, and they shot it back down.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. They're trying to infiltrate the firmament because you got shams sitting outside the firmament waiting to see people try to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why you got that liquid nitrogen around Antarctica. They can't even go beyond the ice wall as well.
You said liquid what?
Liquid nitrogen. That's what the ice is, because when you look at all these hieroglyphics, you don't see any type of wintertime season, because winter is a artificial construct. It's not real. Because everything, the inception period, it was based on a 6,000 year sun cycle. Everything was based on the energy of the sun, so everything was tropical. So they can't even go. Some of them can't even go inside the planet as well, because you got intrinsic solar radiation from the 600-mile diameter sun. So you need I think his name is Phil Schneider. He said that they had the green beret and the black beret. When they went inside the planet, they had to take a capsule pill to where it basically it shields the molecular structure of solar radiation. It's like a polymer pill, because they can't take up on the frequency of the sun inside the planet.
So yeah, go ahead.
You see that it was like that cavern and hollow that led to Hollow Earth in China. Yeah. So,
like that. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, there's many different gateways to get there, but they turn it into historical landmarks.
Indeed. So
I live close to one. I live one that's like an hour and 30 minutes away. And you cannot, there's a lot of restricted areas in Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. It's the deepest cave system in the United States, I believe.
Oh, in Kentucky.
Yep, it's 1 hour and 30 minutes away from where I live at. I'm right on the demarcation line of Kentucky and Indiana. I live in Indiana.
Right. Wow, man. Let's get to another question. I was supposed to end it 2 questions ago, but this is fire. So I gotta keep it a little longer, man. This is getting late, but wow, man. Somebody want to know about the inner sun. Could you talk to us about? We talked about the outer sun. What about the inner sun?
Well, I told you the inner sun. It came from the it came from planet Nibiru, the mothership, because the inner sun was to put the planet back in revitalization process, so the planet can heal itself. So the inner sun is actually a 600-mile diameter sun, and it's called Asfu, and it means the soul of the earth. So that intrinsic solar radiation. So when you see these volcanoes and everything erupting, that's because the vibrational frequency of the inner sun is activating as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why you're having many different earthquakes and everything.
You know, back to that winter thing. When you was like winter didn't exist in ancient times. So when did winter start existing? If you could go according to a timeline, when did
Well, I
winter?
think at first you had a sun cycle because it's based on the 24,000 year equinox. You had a sun cycle, a lunar cycle, yeah, 2 lunar cycles, then right back into the sun cycle, which we're going into right now. So that's why you see the sun and the moon out at the same time. The moon out at like 3 o'clock. That's because the lunar phase is phasing out. That's why that's happening. But I know during that time you had many different floods and you had an ice age because I think you had like 4 different floods before the flood of Noah when you're talking about Pangea, and then you had an ice age. So they're potentially they saying that due to mass calamity because they're trying to combat climate change with fake weather, so that can cause a dramatic shift in the weather and it can cause an ice age over time, which can also shut down the electromagnetic grid.
Somebody wants to know: are they really going to the moon?
Nope, they're going outside the ice wall. Well, you have the black nobility, or you have these the ones that's part of the plutocracy. They're not really going to the moon. They're going outside the ice wall because then, like I said, they don't have the genetics to infiltrate the firmament.
If they can't, but you saying they can't go outside the ice wall to the moon, but can the people that are operating the moon, can they come here? Whoever's on the moon right now, do they have the ability to come back and forth from the moon here?
Well, the archons, as far as like archons are basically the personification of draconians. So they have the ability to come into this planet as well because they are the ones who control the material world through frequency and vibration. So they're able to materialize and dematerialize as well. So the shadowy people, when you see in sleep paralysis, those are archons, those are reptilians, those are jinns and demons that you read about in the Holy Quran or the Bible. Basically one and the same. They just take up on a different anatomy. Just like you have the Anunnaki. Anunnaki they can go from a carbon state to a crystallized state into an etheric state. A draconian reptilian has the ability to dematerialize into a shadowy being, or it can be a gargoyle and many different things. It's the same thing.
So you mentioned the word jinn. When you say jinn, are those disagreeable beings? Are they who were the jinn?
Disagreeable reptilian.
Isn't that where genius comes from? Jinn? I think that's where genius.
I'm not sure. I mean, it could be true.
Yeah.
Because once you get down to the inception of etymology, that's how you get to the truth, is through the words and through the language.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody wants, we go two more, then we out here. Somebody wants to know, how do they have buildings on Mars if everything is within?
I know that they had the Adamite project on planet Mars. It was something like a laboratories where they create many different humans on the planet, and it was basically bringing them down to planet Earth. But I know that there were definitely laboratories, and they had pyramids on planet Mars for sure. That's a fact.
Indeed.
But I don't know, how they do that, because I wasn't there. So this is some of the stuff that I'm reading from getting transliterations of the Holy Tablets and the Sumerian tablets.
And last question, BDell, where's it at? I just seen it. The chat is moving fast. Okay, here it goes. How does Brother BDell feel about Titans? Are they waking and causing earthquakes?
Most definitely. Because Titan, is another word for the moon as well. So you have the type. So the moon is also controls the vibrational frequency of the bodies of water on this planet. So when you have a shift in the tectonic plates, that sends a cymatic frequency to the point where it can cause earthquakes, it can cause mass flooding that you got in California right now. Then you got the Euphrates River drying up, and then you have the Mississippi River drying up. So when you have the ecological system thrown out of balance, that throws off the ecosystem. And when they're both not working in symbiotic connection, that can cause a vast majority of earthquakes on the planet.
Indeed, indeed. Shout to Young Elder. We'll be in touch sometime soon, my brother. Shout to Young Elder in the chat. Yeah, man. I mean, this has been a interesting show, family. This is the brother's first time. Is there anything? Wait, hold on. Let me see something. Is there? Last question, brother. Is there a super AI computer on Saturn that has the ancient ones in stasis?
If anything, I would say it was on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, you said
because
that.
I told you, like, everything is based on the silver key, and the silver key is the lunar light-like energy, and that's based on microscopic psychotronic nanotechnology that puts an encryption on your anatomy. So when you have that encryption on your anatomy, that can freeze up your molecular structure to where you don't ascend with the planet. You are froze at 33 degrees at a 45-degree angle. So you don't ascend when the planet is in a state of evolution.
Indeed. Man, any before we get out of here, brother, any books you recommend the family to read?
Read The Code to Matrix. I forgot the author's name. Read L's Holy Injil by Dr. York. It's a transliteration of the Sumerian it's a transliteration of the Book of Revelation. Read the Holy Tablets if you want to get a concept of the inception of how everything was created, because the great majority of those books are basically inception points of how theology and things of that nature was created. And it has a lot of galactic information in it as well.
Yo, what do you think about that book? What's that? The dude L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh yeah. There's another book, The Rings of Saturn by Norman Burgum. Get that book as well.
I heard about that. But the dude, what's that thing that they do? From the white dudes that was down with the Nation of Islam, they started working together. What's their names? The Scientology. There was.
You said L. Ron Hubbard? No, he's the.
Is that the Scientology dude?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, damn. There was Dianetics. How do you feel?
Dianetics guy.
How do you feel about that? I remember, I think Farrakhan said he wanted his people to learn about Dianetics or something like that. Have you ever studied that whole thing, Dianetics?
No, I've never got into it, but I know it has something to do with like mental health.
Yeah, something with the mind. It's definitely something with the
mind, because he was saying something like, I think he went to South Africa or something like that, and he said like it was something wrong with Black people's minds and stuff like that, and they was using that as a way of infiltrating the land.
Yeah. I got to do more research on that, y'all. But listen, man, brother, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show. Any last words, and let the people know that you want to tell the people, and let the people know how they can follow you on all your platforms, my brother.
Okay, my platforms is BDell 1014, B as in boy, D as in dog, ELL 1014. I'm also on Instagram at BDell 1014. You can find me on Facebook at Bridal Rice at Bridal Rice Bay on Facebook, and you can also find me on TikTok, which is BDell 1014 as well. Those are all my titles on the vast majority of my social media outlets.
Indeed, man. Listen, man, awesome show, brother. I definitely appreciate you coming on here, brother. And I look forward to seeing you on here again, man. And keep doing your thing, my brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, family, we get out of here. BDell, Brother Rich, Black Magic 363. I'm gonna see you next time, family. Thanks for tuning in today. Peace, family.
Peace.